We live? Dolby surround sound stereo? Good. First of all, thank you all for being here. The few, the proud, the committed. I'm grateful. Guys, I just want to say thanks for putting up with me with this whole thing. It's been an interesting challenge diving into this thing. I looked long and hard. I spoke to a couple of different companies about curriculum. I actually talked to Zan Monroe myself personally. I watched some of the videos, and they're wonderful videos, but I could see after watching two that if y'all had seen them fairly recently that it was just not going to be the right thing to do. And I figured, you know, I'm going to try, and I'll use the word try, to pack in.
No.
Try is not the word. That is definitely a word, Bill. But I'm going to try to, and this is something that's a challenge for me because I talk a lot and I think sporadically, and I really appreciate some of y'all's comments with the feedback. I have made myself watch these videos, both of them, all the way through, so that I knew exactly what I was putting you guys through. And I'll be honest with you, I feel like there are some improvements that I'm going to try to make. I hope that you will see a little bit better flow today, and that you'll see me stay on course and not deviate and jump from topic to topic quite as much. But what I'm trying to do is challenging, in a sense that we're trying to pack a tremendous amount of knowledge. I mean, I've been in the business since 2000. I've been to, every year we had an ERA convention, I was there. Anytime there was a training or a regional meeting or something, I was there. I was one of those. I wanted to learn from anybody that would talk, that would tell me. And even if they did not produce or sell as much as I did, or their brokerage wasn't as big, I always thought there's something I can learn from anyone about what they're doing. And I hope your attitude will be the same. Please put up with my idiosyncrasies and little things that may be redundant or things that you know. But I think that the other thing I will say is that this class, because it's only an hour to an hour and whatever we've run over, we're going to try not to this morning. There's no way we can pack all this into 8 weeks. So number one, and 8 hours, right? So I've decided we're going to extend the class for 2 weeks. One week between now and the end of 8, I am not going to be able to do it. So we're going to have to bump a week. So, but on top of that, we can't pack all this into an hour. The class will require you to work outside of the class. Does that make sense? Some of the things I highlight and I talk about, you need to let something grow in your head in terms of an idea that you get from this stuff, and go and research yourself. You should be taking the class with you, if that makes any sense. The homework and the things that I ask of you to do, there's a purpose, there's a flow to it, and we're developing you. And by the time we get done with this 8 or 10 weeks, I think that you're going to have a completely different perspective on your business. I think that you're going to be in a much better, many of you, even those of you that may be making the kind of money you want in the business right now, I think that you're gonna have a totally renewed vigor and a sense of direction that you haven't had in a while. That's what I'm banking on. Okay, so without further ado, I'm gonna quickly give you a pop quiz. Everything has to happen quickly this morning because, like I said, we are in a hurry. So if you don't mind, pass those out, and make sure if people come in that they get a copy of that, if you don't mind, Gail, as they come in. So rather than taking time and stopping, we're going to just quickly run through this together. So I want you to be honest with yourself as we hit these, and please blurt out the answers as we get to them, if you know the answers. But we're going to start with the very first question on here. What is a KPI? And list 3 KPIs that are relevant to your business. So, what is a KPI?
Key performance indicator.
Okay. And if you've answered a question, give a little bit more pause the next time so that someone else can. And then if you still know it and no one's answered, I want to hear your answer. give me a couple of, go ahead and write down 3 and keep those to yourself at this moment. Go ahead and try to write down 3, and again, I want to see if you get a few things that just automatically pop into your head without having to dig too far. Okay, I'm going to keep moving with the questions. The next question is, what is CAC? If you know the answer, write it down. And once you've written it down, raise your hand. And again, you don't have to have every single word right. The point is that you understand the concept and what essentially it stands for. And you guys see the questions. If you're getting ahead, go ahead and finish. Go ahead and work your way all the way down if you can do so. All right, what is LTV and what is the significance of its relationship to CAC? There was one major point that I made with these two acronyms, and I really think it bears making sure you understand it conceptually as we move forward in the class. And then going on down, list at least 3 reasons why good contact management and CRM are important to the real estate business. And the things that I discussed do not have to be your answer on this one. You could come up with something that was totally not even talked about. Okay. As we continue to work forward, I'm going to ask for anyone who had written down an answer for CAC. Please tell me what CAC stands for. Yes, John?
Cost to acquire.
Cost to acquire what?
Customer.
A customer. And particularly a new customer, which essentially is kind of understood. But that's exactly right. Thank you, John. All right. If anyone's finished with the LTV and the significance of its relationship to CAC. This is a tough question. But if you remember the nugget of wisdom, like the main crux of why I brought this up, and you feel comfortable sharing, please raise your hand. It has to do with the relationship between the cost to acquire and the lifetime value of a customer. So if you perceive the lifetime value of a customer to only be one transaction, okay, compared to if you have 4, 5, 6, or 7 transactions with that same customer, or you get referral business for 10 years from that customer, now the value of that customer has gone what? Okay, and the cost to acquire a new customer for you and your little business has gone down. Because it costs you X amount of your time and energy to get a new customer. But if that customer begets new opportunities to you, then the overall cost goes down. You have to work less hard, which means it does not cost you as much mentally, physically, time, money. Right?
Yes.
Okay. List at least 3 reasons why good contact management is important. Just blurt out 3, please. First 3 that come to mind.
Future business.
Say again?
Future business.
Future business. Very good. What else? Right. How can you get the future business? How can you get the benefit of a lifetime customer if you don't even know how to get in touch with them, right?
Right.
Okay. If you don't have a system in place. Right.
Keep your
Okay.
name in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good, right? So it helps you with prospecting, right? It helps you to stay. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. It allows you to have more relationships. Okay, we are in a relationship business. Everything is about relationships, but we are also limited in our mental capacity, our memory. We have to have systems in place to function at the level of critical mass. In other words, you can handle 10 or 12 people without a good CRM, but if you get up to 100 to 200 people, there's no way you can mentally remember everything or everybody, okay? So a couple ones I had, you can tag your customers differently, and you can have overlapping what is it called? Concentric circles. Okay, so you can have your contact list, but you can have your, Tiger Cub group within that list. You can have your, what are some groups? A church group within that list. You can have a neighborhood you're farming within that list. You can have right in the middle, your biggest, most important circle is your raving fans group. Okay, so you can have multiple ways to tag people, and you don't have to switch them around or just look through a box of business cards to try to find them. Okay, so that's important. It also allows you to track your business better, to see where your business is coming from, and to act off of that. Okay, so we're going to run through this real quick. Fill in the blank. Blank is the practice of developing predictable business through many means, including direct mail, leading neighborhood or group programs, and managing the contacts and relationships in a particular service area. What is the blank?
Farmer.
Thank you. I wrote that myself, that sentence. I came up with that myself. Do you think that hits it pretty good? Farming an area can pay off in the form of greater blank of blank.
Percentage of
That I gave you the first letter of the second blank.
Sales.
Rhymes with sales. Economy of scale. Right?
Oh.
You can go to one place and get a lot of things done. That's the point. Which allows an agent to capture a greater percentage of blank blank in that geographic area or neighborhood.
Market
Yes, market what?
share.
Share.
Yes.
Market share. This team seems a little peppier this morning. Chris, I'd like for you to come on this team, please. On this side. All right? Thank you.
which thing?
It is important not to, the next person that comes in will be on this team, all right? It is important not to randomly choose a blank area, as you may greatly increase your chance of blank.
Farms.
A farm area, as you may greatly,
Success.
as you may greatly increase your chance of
Failure, probably.
failure. If I choose to farm, I should choose a neighborhood where no one agent has more than blank % of the closed sales in the last couple of years.
8.
15. And remember, you want to make sure if you got 2 that have 10 or 2 that have 11 together, that's another thing to keep in mind, all right? So you just want to avoid that there's one dominant person already in that neighborhood, if you can. Also, I should look for a neighborhood that demonstrates blank % blank.
Turns.
Okay, turn is the second word. 10% is great. That'd be really 1 in 10 homes sell every year. That'd be strong.
7 to 10.
7 to 8%, 7 to 10%. If you get 10%, guys, that's what Peter would call a hot area. Okay, and if you find a hot area and that nobody's dominant, whoo, go get them. Go get them. All right. I'm sorry. Let's see here. Dang it,
You gave yourself away.
man! All right. Blank is the raw materials, work in progress, processed goods, and completely finished goods that are considered to be the portion of a business's assets that are blank or will be blank for sale. What's the first blank?
Inventory.
Thank you. Business assets that are blank
Available.
or will be blank, both the same word, for sale.
Available.
Available.
If I've got parts over here and parts over here and I hadn't put them together, are they blank for sale?
Ready.
Ready. They're not ready for sale. Okay? Your listings have to be ready to sell. Right?
Yeah.
Because the turnover of blank represents one of the primary sources of blank generation and subsequent earnings for the company's shareholders and owners. So turnover of what? Correct.
Inventory.
Thank you. Turnover of inventory represents one of the primary sources of blank generation.
Lead generation.
Revenue.
Revenue
Revenue.
generation. Correct.
What was
the one before
Can you
that?
go back
Yeah,
over that? I
one of
think
the
I
most
got
important
lost.
assets.
Okay.
Totally.
Blank represents one of the most important assets of, that most blank possess. Oh, I did miss a blank. That most businesses possess. Because the turnover of inventory represents one of the primary sources of, do we already say this one? Revenue generation and subsequent earnings for the company shareholders or owners. Going back to the very top, profit equals what?
Sales minus cost.
Revenues minus expenses.
Okay, either one correct.
What?
Revenues minus expenses. So inventory will help you, and ready and available inventory is what you have to have in any business to create revenues, right? We need revenues, don't we? Isn't that what we're doing, what we're here for? Okay. All right, well guys, that's great. Hang on to that. I hope that was helpful. All right, next, I want to read you a little thing here. I want you to visualize this picture, okay, as I read this. And bear with me. I heard somewhere it's not polite to read to your audience, but early in her career, B determined that she was going to be the top realtor in her market. She knew that to do so would require a significant amount of time and persistent effort. While she knew that the industry was changing, she made a realization that real estate, like any business, is built one customer at a time. As her business grew, she began to realize that while a customer is earned one at a time, sales are not necessarily. One day, after seeing what she thought was maybe the third contract with a particular seller's name on it, she decided to do some research to see if she knew anyone at the company. Through someone in her SOI, she found a name and address of an account manager in Atlanta who represented the company, wrote a letter, and went about her business as usual. While she never knew which seed sown would ever sprout and give blossom to a tree or a sale, she reckoned that real estate is a numbers game, and that with enough sowing, she could count on reaping a reward. But she never would have imagined that one of the seeds, the letter she sent on that fine autumn afternoon, would reap not a tree, but a whole forest of trees. You see, that company she mailed a letter to happened to be a pretty big relocation company, and I will not divulge the name. And the gentleman she wrote to just happened to be the decision maker who was on the verge of seeking out a new company to represent their interests in her area. Little did she know that one seed would end up representing not a tree, but literally a forest of business. A forest so big, it would end up being responsible for roughly 1/2 of her sales for the large part of her career. B is still in the real estate business, and she often is perplexed at how a few simple business practices can sometimes be so hard to believe and to carry out for so many agents. If you want sales, you have to actively pursue the people who have the ability to give them to you. So if you don't believe that this story is true, please make sure you pull Mrs. B. Barnes
Betty Barnes.
aside sometime to ask her yourself. Thought you guys would appreciate that. All right, who's ready for some prospecting? Everybody good this morning? I don't know. I hope that story hit you. I was feeling inspired last night. So, and I had about an hour talk with Miss Barnes. And if just as a side note, we sometimes don't realize the amazing wealth of assets we have at our disposal, right within a few paces away of our office. So I would encourage you to, and I asked her permission if I could share, and I took a few privileges in the telling of the story, but But the major components of that are absolutely true, and she actually gave me the 50% number herself. I did not make that up, okay? And I'm sure she'd be happy to tell you more about it. So we got a lot to cover, so I'm about to, hope y'all are ready to rock and roll. You might hear me panting by the end of this thing, but we're gonna make some moves here. Don't feel like you have to write everything down, because I'll send a PDF of this to everyone as we move forward, okay? All right, prospecting is a numbers game, isn't it? Even Miss Barnes will tell you that, you know, if you pull her aside and ask her. Okay, the more you call, the more motivated the more motivated sellers you find. Okay, and I would say the more motivated sellers find you. Okay, think about that for a second. The first few times you do anything, are you really good at it? But if you practice breeds confidence. Confidence gives you a better chance at what it is you're trying to do. It doesn't matter what it is you're trying to do. Sales, athletics, anything. Okay? Don't take yourself too seriously. This needs to be a game. So why do we play games? Think about this. Why do we play games? Who's played a board game recently? With their family, or just played any game at all? I play PlayStation 3 with my son, football. And lately, his grandfather has taken up college football on PlayStation 3. So he and I play occasionally. But why do we play a game? Why would we take the time to do something like that?
Take a break.
Take a break. It's challenging. It's fun. We enjoy it, right? We tap into something that's totally different than the way we feel when we go to work. You can play a game for hours and hours and not feel like you're working, right? Make this a game. Just make it a game. Accept the challenge and have fun. And by the way, when I talk prospecting this morning, I don't have time to go into like a million details. We'll have a couple segments where we'll talk about details. But the point of what I'm talking about here is whether you're calling your SOI, whether you're calling for sale by owners, you're farming, whatever you're doing, it's all prospecting. Okay, I'm not going to point you specifically into any one direction. You guys are business owners, you're adults. You can figure out some of this stuff by yourself. If you need help, I'm here for you any time of the day. Okay, but the point is, prospecting needs to be fun and exciting, and you've got to find a way to tap into it to where it thrills you. Once you can see like that and look at it like that, it's going to change your life. Okay, I promise you. What is a sales script? A script is simply a sequence of words that make sense. Just like that sentence right there. Okay? A script gives you a track to run on and helps you to stay focused on your purpose. Would you agree with that? Okay. It also guides the prospect or the client through the phone call. And when I say phone call, please use that interchangeably between open conversation with someone you meet at church, someone you meet at Tiger Cubs, baseball, Little League, whatever it is you do where you go and meet people, and however you run your business, let's consider that a chance for you to give a script, right? But most of all, it allows you to go from this little cute little thing, ain't he cute? Isn't he sweet? Oh. It'll take you from being this kind of an agent to that right there.
Whoa, I had to zoom out on that one.
Take a look at that, guys. Visualize. This is what I want every one of you to be.
A tiger?
That's a lion.
Oh, lion,
Look at the resolve. Look at the focus. Do you think this guy is scared of anything in this world? I'm serious. Go listen to Eye of the Tiger. Watch Rocky. Get fired up. You need to be this. Not, if I can go back, not this guy. Okay, we got plenty of these kind of folks out there. You need to be this guy. All right? Sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words, isn't it? That may help me to stay on track today. More pictures, less talk. All right, the anatomy of a sales call. I don't want to see anybody squinting. All right? Number one, identify them. Okay? Hello. Who am I speaking with? Or is this Tom? Is this Sue? Okay, you got to get a name right away. Okay? Identify yourself. Don't wait 10 minutes to say, oh, by the way, I'm George at Caldwell Banker. People want to know who they're talking to pretty quickly. Okay? Whether you're talking to them physically in person or over the phone. The reason for your call. I'd like to make you what I believe is a win-win proposition. I'm going to tell you quickly, right now, kind of, the direction of my call. Okay? The next part is this is successful sales calls, folks, not the kind that we might have done in the past. Successful sales calls have to offer a fair trade. There's got to be a fair trade involved to get any prospect to the next level. Okay? I could bring you a CMA if I could have an hour of your time, or I'll email you Area Comps Weekly if you'll let me tell you a little bit about my company. These are just a few ideas, okay? And then you should close at least 3 times for a appointment. Thank you. Very nicely done. The goal of every sales call is simply an appointment. Okay, this is more on the phone side, but even when you're just out and about, quickly running through the supermarket, and you see somebody, they mention something, or maybe they're looking to sell or buy, they got somebody they know they're going to sell, that's going to sell or buy. Are you going to sell a home at Publix? Are you going to list a house at Publix? No, you're not going to list a house at Cub Scouts. You're not going to list a house at church. Your goal is to get an appointment. Appointments are where business happens. Okay? Appointments are where you're likely to get what you want. Does that make sense? Okay. So, just some practical stuff here. Number 1, you have to be in control. This is where a script really comes in handy. Okay? Because it doesn't allow you to deviate from being in control. The minute the other person is in control, you're already headed down the wrong path. Okay? And I don't mean dominant. I just mean it's clear who called and who's leading the call right now. Okay? Just like it's clear that I'm the one presenting and I am leading this class right now. If someone walked by, they would have no question about that. Doesn't mean I think any less of you. Doesn't mean I think that you don't have a chance to talk, or that you're not as important, or that you might not lead a class or a call at some point, but do you understand what I'm saying? You have to be in control of that call. Control requires asking questions. Okay? And good conversation requires asking questions. I heard an interview, the goal of an interview, if you're trying to get a job, which I hope none of you are, is you should try to speak about what percentage of the time in an interview. Anybody want to take a shot? 50. A good interview is a good exchange, and it should be roughly 50. And I would say that maybe a slightly higher amount on one of these calls, but you have to ask questions, okay? Start every call imagining the outcome you desire. This is where the game comes into play. This is where your desire, that resolve, that eye of the tiger has got to come in. You have to know that when you pick that phone up, or the next time you're going somewhere and you have prospecting on your mind, you have to envision the outcome. You have to just believe that people will do business with you. And that next call could be the call. That could be your next $300,000 listing that you're announcing at sales meeting. That could be the next person you're adding to your SOI that's going to send you 10, 15, 20, 30 leads over the next 4 or 5 years. But if you don't envision it, if you don't believe it, you pick the phone, you dial, that person will know right away. They'll know. They will hear it in your voice that this is just the next phone call, that you have no real hope of getting their business, and you will basically self-prophesy your own destiny on that call. Does that make sense? Work to convey confidence and naturality. All right, naturality. I wasn't sure if that was even a word when I wrote it down.
Is it?
It is a word, and it means what you would think it does. You have to work at this, folks. The reason why I have been I intentionally picked a fight with every one of you. And I knew y'all were going to be pissed at me, and there's going to be people talking about me, and that George, what the heck does he think he's doing? Tell me how to run my business. I know how to run my business. He'd come in here, you know, how old is he anyways? What's he telling me to do? Come out, where did he move from? He hadn't lived in Macon. All right, I picked the fight knowing I was going to take a beating, okay? But the reason why is because, guys, if you just understand that a little tweak, a little change, what does it take to be confident? Not much at all. But if you don't get, the reason why I gave you that list in that sheet of saying, here's all the people you need to call. Keep calling until you find out how many you have to do to get a listing appointment. The reason I tell you that is because by the time you get down to 7 or 8, you're going to feel like a freaking pro. It's going to come easy. And guys, if you hadn't figured out yet, if you haven't done this yet, okay, I hate to have to tell you this, but if you just do what I tell you, you probably won't even get to 10. Okay? It doesn't necessarily take as many as you think it will. So, but it will take more if you don't have confidence and naturality, right? If it takes you to 20 and you're not confident and you're not natural, you get your line confident and natural to where you know you don't even have to look at the script anymore. You know what I call sound bites. Professional scripted sound bites. Little things you can just click on and immediately you know a sentence or two about something. Okay? That's where we have to get you guys to, where y'all can handle objections. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Take your time and use their name as many times as you can. Okay? Studies have shown that people's favorite word is their name. Terry. Bill.
George.
I love it. Woo! I love hearing my name. I do. I'll be honest with you. It gives me the warm and fuzzies. Okay? So does it for everyone. So try to use their name when you're talking to them. Okay? It's as easy as that. Always, from this call, from the very first time you call them and talk to them, they should feel important. This is the person that will send you business for the rest of your life. They are important. They help pay your bills. They're going to help send your kid to school. They're going to help pay for your vacation this year. They are important. Just like you guys are important to me. Right? Y'all do the same thing for me. By the way, last week in June, I will be on vacation. I will not be here. I need you guys to work really hard, sell a lot of real estate, so I can afford to leave here for a week and go on vacation. All right? And again, I picked a fight with you, but I hope you understand how important you are all to me. I haven't been here. I've not been here for 5, 6, 7 years, but I care about you, and you're important. And if you don't care about people naturally, then this is not the business for you. If you're the kind of person where you just don't care about people and you can't really care about them and it's just too hard, then guys, this is not the right business. Okay? Be actively listening. You have to listen. Write down details. You should never call someone and not have a pen handy and ready to take notes. Anything they say, you should try to write down and remember. And be actively listening. If you listen carefully, you will get cues that will help you further down the line in that listing presentation. Maybe later in the call. You will find out what's most important to them. And by doing this, by listening, okay, write everything you learned down. I already said, areas of interest, important people to them. Okay, know who is important to them. Details about the house. How many bedrooms and baths? Don't get to the listing appointment and go, so how many bedrooms and baths are there? If they already told you. Okay, write the details down. And for God's sake, you make sure that you write down the day and time of your appointment when you do get that appointment. Because you will. Don't forget it. Make sure you're there. Remember, speech is faster than thoughts. The reason this is important is because when we look at a script, we go, oh, why would I ever do? I get back when I used to get a ton of calls from different companies. It would just be like, hello, Mr. Imami, this is so-and-so from so-and-so. I'm calling today because blah, 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 blah. And we could just be like, oh, no, not scripts. Well, that's not naturality right there. That's not natural, okay? But the fact that you've got, when you write something, you can be concise and to the point. You can say something and it has meaning, you know? You don't want to be, and I work hard to not be this guy. I have to say, I am this guy sometimes, where I will use 20 words when 5 would have done just fine, okay? All right? I am. No, stop nodding your head over there. It's true, though. It's true, and I'm working on it, okay? But when you write it down, even though it may feel a little unnatural at first, you're not mincing words. Every word has meaning, and you can get where you're going faster. Does that make sense? All right. And remember, their thoughts trail. They're not going to be thinking the way that you're reading or the way that you're speaking necessarily. You know, we only pick up and really like process every third or fourth word a lot of times. And we often process an entire sentence without digesting it word for word. Does that make sense? This is the speech communications major coming out. Maybe I did remember something from my undergrad, but ask open-ended questions is number 10. In other words, don't ask yes or no questions. You know, get them talking. Okay, tell me about your home. You know, how long have you lived? Of course, that's a short question, but what are some open-ended questions? Give me one real quick.
What do you like about your house?
Beautiful. What do you like about your house?
Neighborhood.
Your neighborhood. What are the finer points of your neighborhood? You know, what do you believe? Why did you move to your neighborhood? You know, that's a good one. Because they might expect that you know the finer points of the neighborhood, so be careful now. But here's the last thing, guys. This is a marketing thing. You stress benefits over features. Give me an example of a feature or a benefit, anyone. Just when you're trying to pitch something or you're talking about something.
Granite countertops.
Right. Granite countertops is a what?
Feature.
Okay, what's the benefit of a granite countertop?
Last.
Beauty.
Durability, beauty, resale,
Resale.
right? Okay, so those are benefits. When you get on these calls and you're writing these scripts, you're asking your questions, always be thinking in terms of benefits. About you. What are some features about you and your business versus benefits? Okay? If you have a proven method to sell someone's home faster, is that a feature or a benefit? That's a benefit of using you, right? Okay, just trying to get you thinking there. Use personal words in the conversation. Feel, we, together, us, team, okay? Use those kinds of words to help the prospective customer understand your worldview and to help them understand and to feel things when they're talking to you, okay? You don't want a dry conversation. You want to have an experience on the phone. Does that make sense? Okay. That sounds kind of funny. I just came up with that. All right, when you get an objection, we will get objections in the field, right? Okay? You got to remain calm and quiet. Don't but. All right? We all know people that do that. They have cocked their gun, they have recharged, they're ready to blast me the minute that I stop talking. Right? Don't do that. Remain calm and quiet. Gather information. Okay? And let them finish all the way. Check your understanding. This is the next part of handling an objection. Restate the objection in your words. Terry, what I'm understanding is that you were very unhappy with the fact that I pushed you in the hallway yesterday. Is that what you're trying to communicate? You know, or is that what you're saying? Okay? And actually, the next part of that is a trial close. Okay? So before you even handle the objection, you want to say, Terry, if I can explain to you what it was that forced me to push you in the hall yesterday in a satisfactory way, would that make you feel better about this particular concern you have? that your broker is abusive physically. Okay? And if at that point you'll say, yes, if you can, then great, I'm good to go. All right? So then you handle the objection. Okay? So it provides another way of looking at or satisfying their concerns. So this is where I'm actually going to handle Terry's objection. And at this point, I will say, Terry, clearly you were being a nuisance and bothering everybody in the hall, and somebody had to push you, and I'm the broker, so it had to be me. All right? Now, at that point, the concern should be handled, right? The objection is handled. So at that point, you got to check their satisfaction level. Do you see how the benefit of me pushing you in the hall may minimize your concern, Terry? Okay, that's not a great example, but you get my point. Okay, you have to deal with people's concerns. Now, are objections a bad thing?
No.
Okay, sales 101. An objection is your friend. That means they have already moved over to the consideration of you. Okay? But in their mind, they have little roadblocks. They may like you, they may feel interested, they may feel like inside they need your help because I cannot keep showing my house. I'm getting calls during the middle of the day while I'm at work. Somebody wants to see the house right now, and I can't be there because I'm a for sale by owner. So they may feel the need, they may be interested in hearing what you have to say, but they also know that this is the beginning of a negotiation if they want to use you, right? So you have to understand that objections are good, and it's something you want, and you have to be ready to handle them. Okay. At the very end, once you've trial closed and you've handled the objection and you've checked their satisfaction level, you've got to ask for the business. Okay. You cannot be afraid. You answered their question, and sometimes I've been playful with people almost to the point where, what else you got? This is a great opportunity. But I'm here to answer questions for you all day. If you're not ready, I'd love to have you give you 3 days to think about it. I said, or this is one thing I used to say, and I could leave here and come back in 3 days and waste 3 days of an opportunity to market and try to sell your home, or we can get this business done tonight, and I can walk out of here a man on a mission, ready to get this thing closed. Okay? Don't be afraid to close, guys. There's too many agents out there that they'll do everything right. They'll be right up to the cusp of a sale, and they won't ask for the business. That example I gave you a couple weeks ago of Garrett and his first listing, I had already chained my leg to the table. We were not leaving without that listing. Okay? And it was just a matter of at what topic or point in conversation were they going to realize that I was not leaving until Garrett got his first listing. Okay? So don't be afraid to close. You got to close. All right? All right, a couple things. In your groups, we're going to quickly, and I mean quick, handle some objections. So here's objection number 1. If I list my home with you and buy my next home from you, will you cut your commission? I want you to talk amongst your group and give me your best answer. You got 30 seconds. Go. Maybe a little bit more than 30 seconds if you need it.
All right, now let's get the rest of the
Everybody except Wiggles in that.
How you handle it?
Forward towards that.
Once you have your answer, hit the buzzer. Let me know. Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. Miss Brenda, you got it. Let me hear your retort.
No, I will not cut your commission, because if I do, your services will be cut.
Okay. All right. All right. That's good. I like that. Let me hear your best answer.
That was basically the same thing. We said,
Well, come on.
we said we have the resources and to get your whole house sold in order to use those resources. We we need capital to get the job done.
Good.
And as far as the second part is concerned, them buying a new house, they don't pay the commission, so you get that idea out of their mind right away.
Right. Good. Mike Ferry published something to the web, and I always will give credit on the TV. So Mike, thank you. If you ever end up seeing this video, I'm not copywriting. I didn't steal this. It was on the web. But basically, I'll give you a few of his answers because those are both very good. I can appreciate that, and I want to be upfront with you and say, no, I will not cut my commissions, and for one very simple reason. As a professional, my time has a certain value, and I only work with people like you that realize the value of my service. And before you say anything, think about this. If an agent is willing to cut his or her commission just like that, how well do you think they will hold up when it comes to negotiating the best possible price for your home?
That's a good one.
I want to demonstrate up front how tough I am going to be for you. Therefore, cutting my commission is not an option. Does that make sense? Okay.
But we only had 30 seconds.
No, you did great. But here's the thing. Y'all both honed in on what his main critical handling of it was. But this will give you, I'm going to send this back to y'all too. There's 40 of them here. Okay? So I don't want everybody printing these big documents. Please view them in the PDF and watch them on your screen. Print one page at a time or something like that. Or maybe I'll put one in the workroom. Okay? But that's very good. All right, the next one. All right, you got one minute. Go ahead for right now. I have to keep my promise to the agent from which I originally bought the home. Okay? So somebody at SS&A sold me the home, and I promised them if I ever sold it, I'd use them. In this case, you might just be good to even have an answer.
Were you told to satisfy?
If they stayed in contact, if they stayed in
I guess I
contact.
asked if they were told to
Yeah,
satisfy.
how long
Have
ago
they
was
kept
this?
in touch with them?
Yeah.
Is it in writing?
Good.
Good for
Have you
them.
had my perspective?
The other agent might not.
What would you say, Mike?
Well, have they maintained contact with you over the years?
There you go, that was a good one.
Still
I
feels
think you
like
provide-
that commitment you made that long ago.
But yeah, I probably would say something too. I understand. Stand by your commitments.
Okay.
Today.
All right, let's hear it. What you got?
That's a good
Let's
one.
let these guys go first, unless you want to defer again. All right, go ahead.
When is the last time you've heard from that agent?
I saw her at church about a month ago.
Are you satisfied with her?
I think she did okay.
You have it in writing?
Huh?
You have it in writing?
Have one in mind.
You have a promise.
That's good. That's good. Okay, I like it. What else? What do you guys got? Anything?
Well, I would just say, if I'm going to provide a better service than the other agent may provide,
Mhm.
you're still going to list with the other agent, does that really make sense not to
That's a great point. I like that.
look at both?
On this one, I'd have to give it to them because what she is she's separating the fact that she's taking the fact that they know this person, they might be friends, and putting that aside and saying, well, wouldn't you buy on merit? Wouldn't you buy on value? So does that make sense? Now,
I
So
think
here-
another point on that is that if there's a difference, you have to there's a difference in selling you a home and taking you out and buying you a home.
right? Yeah,
That maybe what they did for you as a buyer
that's a good point.
might not be the same thing they can
That's a
do
good
for
point.
us, so.
That's a great point. Here's his answer, okay? That's great. I can appreciate your loyalty, and that is a quality that I respect in people. So I'm curious. Let me ask you this. Has there ever been a time when you decided to buy something or do something and a friend said, hey, no problem. When you need help, I can do it. And in the end, because you didn't check around, you really didn't get what you wanted. Have you ever been there before? Yes. Well, I think you might find that this time is just like that time. And with that in mind, I'm sure you can see the importance of having me over to give you a second opinion. That wouldn't hurt anything, would it? Okay, so he's basically hinting at the same point there. And in this situation, you're trying to get an appointment, apparently, is kind of his perspective on that. But I always tell people that I like that point, and that's kind of the way I typically handle that is, this is a business decision. You know, and as I don't know about you, but my experience sometimes with working with family and friends is that there's all kind of weird expectations and different things can, you know, sometimes you don't have a great communication about what it is you're trying to have done. Let me back up and tell you this. I would challenge any other agent in this marketplace to show you better value when it comes to selling your home than me. Okay? So do you want to buy or use a company based on a relationship, or do you want to do it based on what value you're going to get for your money? And again, if they want to on the relationship, well, there's certain things you might or might not be able to overcome. But you have to have an answer, right? Okay, and this was not an easy question, but guys, it does come up sometimes. Okay, I'm going to skip through a couple of these because we need to keep moving. We're almost done. But I've seen this marketing plan for many different agents. What makes yours different? Why is your price so much lower than the other agents we've talked to? I mean, they have comps that show higher prices than yours. We all know that one, right? Why would somebody show higher comps?
Get the listing.
Yeah. So that was one. I'm going to send this to you. I'm going to add to your homework. I want everybody to read through this over the next 2 weeks, maybe. Okay. And then I'll sell my home when the value goes up. Can you overcome this? Can you overcome this objection?
The value on the house you're gonna be buying is going up too.
All right.
I think it's,
Conditions are not objections. Okay? What is the difference between an objection and a condition?
An objection you can overcome, but you can't do anything about conditions.
That's right. That's right. You can't. So you have to know and learn when something's a condition, and they've put it out there, it's not an objection. You can't overcome it. You might as well, you're going to hurt yourself by trying. So you put your best foot forward, you punt, you know,
over the wall.
and you keep moving, This is when you handle objection, you go over. This is when you're kind of, you realize, this is not going to work. I need to make sure I'm available and ready for when these guys don't have this condition anymore. Maybe you make a note in your CRM, call them back at this time when such and such has happened, and now they can do what they need to do. What's a condition that we might have out there right now in the marketplace that's kind of tough?
Upside down in the
Location.
Upside down the mortgage. Okay, and even that, you know, if you want it, and the challenge is there for you. If you want to do work towards a short sale, you can. But again, certain things cannot be overcome. Learn to know the difference. Start thinking about what are objections and what are not. This will help you because you'll have 40 that are, except for that one that he puts in there that's not an objection. It's a.
Well, still with that one, if they're waiting for the market to respond and they're trading up, you can still overcome that objection. If they're going to a lower price home, then you're just dead.
You can plant a seed. You know, maybe have you ever thought about leasing your home? Did you know that we offer rental services? You know, if you're going up, I mean, you know. Okay, so quick flashback review. The holistic business system required to effectively develop, manage, enable, and execute a mutually blank interpersonal exchange. What's the blank? Can I remember?
Beneficial.
Thank you, sir. Of goods and services for blank value. Think what you have in your home when you pay your mortgage down.
Equity.
Equitable value, okay? So again, every point in your sales process, you need to strive to achieve a state of mutually beneficial exchange at equitable value, okay? It's not a take relationship, a take-give. It's a give-give. It's a give and take, and then you're giving and taking. Does that make sense? Okay, so how do we do this? We look for, remember we talked about fair trade items? Here's a few examples of fair trade items when you're making that call and you're trying to bargain with someone to give them something in exchange for them giving you what you want. What is it that you want again?
An appointment.
Thank you, an appointment. Okay, and then once you get the appointment, what do you want? a listing, or if it's a buyer, you want a buyer brokerage engagement, right? We need to, I don't know how many people, I don't want to ask right now how many folks are not using those, but you should be. Or else you're not telling people the value of your service, okay? And they're not going to understand. Market estimate of value. What can we not say we offer? What are, unless you have this particular kind of license, what can you not? An appraisal.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things I looked at said, tell me you can give them an appraisal. I'm like, well, not in this state, you can't. Estimate of net. Okay, do a net worksheet. We do this with sellers sometimes when we get an offer, right?
Yes.
Why can't you do it with someone who, tell them you'll go through it with them and help them think about that. Tips for making a house saleable. That's not a bad idea. Advice on timing a sale. Methods of new financing. If I've got something to sell, it's important to know how it can be financed. Mr. Seller, how would you like for me to tell you about this new program? I see that your home needs some work. Do you know about this FHA, 203K, right? Does everybody in here know about that? Okay. You can get money to fix your home up and still only put 3.5% down. Don't you think that might help increase the chance of your sale of your property when you have work to do? Okay, so you can go and help them and just bring a mortgage officer with you, or get a pamphlet from them about it. Okay, and go and deliver some value. That's a fair trade item. Estimates of repairs, tips for advertising, the reasons the home didn't sell. Area competition, saleability checklist, comparison flowchart, or others. Okay, what we're going to do, we're dismissing on time this morning, or very shortly, which is almost on time. And so there's no problem after that if you have to go. For anyone that can, we'll stay for a few minutes and we'll talk about any other ideas for fair trade items. Here's the most important thing you got to remember today on the entire presentation. Okay, did you know 80% of all sales are made after the 5th call? Okay, and I'll say touch, because it's not just phone calls. 40% of all salespeople make only 1 call. 25% of all salespeople call twice and quit. 17% of salespeople call 3 times and quit. That means 82% plus of the agents that call don't get the business because they quit too soon. Okay? What that also means is that the other 18% who keep calling get the business 80% of the time. I thought that was ironic. Have y'all ever heard the 80-20 rule? What we typically do, folks, is we'll work, and we'll work, and we'll work. But it's the next 20% of our efforts. It's staying at the office that extra hour. It's making that extra few phone calls that day. It's going that extra little bit. That little bit that's at the fringe on the margins is what makes or breaks your career. It's what makes you go from 1 or 2 listings to 12 or 15 listings, even though you're only outputting a small amount of time. An 80-20 rule, 20% of your time and effort spent will account for 80% of your business. Okay? But it's usually, here's the trick, it's usually the last 20. You see what I'm saying? You've already put 80% in, now you got to put another 20 in. I stayed here last night until almost midnight working on this presentation because I had stuff all week that came up and just bite me in the butt, and I did not get a chance. But let me tell you something. That last couple of hours, I can guarantee you, if I hadn't spent that time, I would have come in here and it would have been miserable, terrible. I would not have had the confidence to get up here and speak in front of you. The presentation would have been nowhere near as good. Even though that was only the tail end of what I spent on it, it was what pushed it over the top, and what I hope you'll find made it a decent presentation today. Okay? For sale by owners and expireds, direct mail. Just a couple of things here. Real life experience. I want you to pass these out for me, Gail, if you don't mind. I'm handing you your groups 2 sections, and this will have to take after class, okay? When I withdrew my home, I got a letter from one agent, and then I got this 7 letters from one agent. I want you to see the difference. And I want you to kind of compare and contrast and put yourself into your seller's shoes for a minute. Put your seller hat on and think about what it is out of those that stands out. Okay? Does that make sense? I don't have time to tell you about it, but to me, the first couple of letters I threw away. But then when I realized this same person was mailing me every time, it caught my attention. And it's a Keller Williams agent, but I tell you, before I affiliated here, I had never talked to her, but I had the thought that I'm probably going to call this girl instead of the people that handled my house for the 2 months that I had it, just because of how persistent and how organized she is. It tells me something about her and her business, that she would send 7 letters to me. Okay? And without me calling her, and even today I haven't called her to tell her anything. I need to encourage her. But so think of the pros and the cons. Which agent would you, and I'm going to email you these so you'll have them. I just don't want to print, I want to cut a tree down every time we have a class, okay? So think about which agent would you be most likely to use based on that information. And what's more important to you, the quality of what was sent, or the fact that you got 7 different things, okay? Just consider that. Now, we want to build quality into everything we do, but just think about that. I want your opinions on that. So we're going to dismiss in a second, and what I want y'all to do, if you have time, for those that have time, if not, we're just going to dismiss. But we're going to take 5 minutes for anybody that can, and basically, did this go backwards? Okay. This actually, I'm not sure. Basically what we're going to do is have a think tank for a few minutes about prospecting ideas. Because some of the best ideas out there are represented in this room. So I wanted you to share, and I'll throw a few in when we get to there. But at this point, I'm going to the homework and we're going to dismiss. I had a video, we're not even going to watch it. I'll send you the video. Please watch it when you get the link. Here's the homework. Come up with your own for sale by owner, expired or withdrawn, and SOI quick call scripts this week. Use what we've learned today to help you develop that. Some of the points that we made today, okay? Develop a series of letters and a system for keeping up with who gets what next, okay? Does that make sense? You have to be organized to send 7 letters sequentially to one person. How do you make sure you're not sending the same letter twice? How do you make sure that you send it on a time, on a timed basis? You don't want to send them all at one time, right? You want to time it out. That takes being organized, folks. It takes being intentional about your business and creating a system. So think about what you want to do and create a system for it. How you're going to do it and commit to it. Okay? Get 2 appointments with for sale by owners or expireds or withdrawals. Okay? I really want to see everyone get at least 1 appointment this week. I really do. If you're busy, this is what drives your business. You got to keep your pipeline full. I'll be very impressed and very pleased if you can get 2. Some of you, if you get 3 or 4, it will blow my mind. But we've got to keep in line with what we're teaching, okay, and the progress of what we're trying to get to. At the end of the day, all this is about building your inventory and helping you to sell. You got to have inventory to sell first. So keep adding to your SOI. Keep making sales calls until you determine a success rate. I'd like for you to give me a pretty solid success rate by next week as to how many calls you have to make to your SOI or to for sale by owners to know roughly, on average, how many you have to make to get a listing appointment, okay, or to get a buyer prospect. And then the last thing, this is important. These are the teams that we're going to have for the rest of the program. Okay, so look at your teams. One of the 2 of you, and again, I'll have to have you help me remember this. But one of these 2 groups will be going to dinner with me at the end of this for who had the most listings during the time of this course, starting on 10/1 or 10/3, the beginning of October up through the end of the course. Whoever gets the most listings, we're going somewhere nice for dinner. Okay? So, no pressure, but you need to
Don't hear that game?
you need to talk to your team. This is a team effort, guys. Here's the deal. I'm trying to raise the bar here. Okay? I want the average, the mean of who represents Coldwell Banker to go up. That means the top folks that are producers go up. That means the folks that are in the middle go up. That means the folks that are having a hard time or brand new or restarting their business or trying to get cranked up, everybody has to go up. Okay? And I don't care if it's just a little bit. If you're able to do a little bit, then great. If you can do a lot, then great. But I want to see progress from everyone. Does that make sense? There's one video that I'm going to send you. I'd like for you to take a look at it. I'm going to play it. If you have to go, we are dismissed as of right now. Thank you for your time. Okay? Keep rolling, yeah, because for any of these folks that want to see it later, you know. Oh.
Open door, for God's sake.